It isn't like MediaMatters hasn't talked about me enough already. I don't know why they need another $1 million. There has already been something like, you ready? 50,000 Glenn Beck mentions on MediaMatters website. 50,000. But as we always do, we're not going to just talk about people. We'll use their own words and decide who the real radical is. Tonight, George Soros. Who's the real radical? For instance, what does Mr. Spooky himself think about our system as it stands now in America?
I believe that basically the system is broke and needs to be reconstituted.
Wow. Okay. You might be there saying, okay, tough times are here. It's broken. Sure. I got a new book coming out next week called Broke. Every economy goes through peaks and valleys. Every economy left alone and restoring virtues and values and honesty and integrity. And the free market system adjusts and rights itself. But that's not what George Soros is talking about. In fact, he just said, what was the name of that editorial that he did? America doesn't need virtues. It needs stimulus. So there's a difference here. And it's just like his ally and his partner and the guy who carries the BlackBerry around in case he calls, Barack Obama. He believes in fundamental transformation. This transformation would be like having a Mustang. I mean, Mustang, one of the greatest cars, not that one, an old one, 1965, great car. Let's say a Mustang is misfiring. And rather than taking it to some shop for repairs and restore, man, just can you make this a sweet cherry Mustang? Can you do it? No, you don't take it there. You just trade it in, for a 1974 Gremlin. Now, it's been proven the Gremlin really didn't work all that well. In fact, it was one of the worst vehicles ever produced, which is the reason why they're not made anymore. They haven't been made in decades. So why would you trade one of the greatest automobiles ever made for a crap can? Because maybe it's just not fair for people to have such a nice car. I mean, how could you feel good about yourself driving a Mustang when the difference between what you drive and your Yugo neighbors drive, it's so huge? George has summed it up like this, quote, "The trouble is that the winners do not compensate the losers, either within states or between states. The welfare state, as we know it, has become unsustainable. And international income redistribution is practically non-existent. Total international assistance amounted to $56.5 billion from the U.S. and $74.4 billion worldwide in 2002. Now, I just want you to know this amount represents only 0.18% of global GDP. As a result, the gap between the rich and the poor continues to grow, Spooky Dude says. What he leaves out is it doesn't count the charitable contributions Americans made to churches or charity that stayed in this country. Of course, look at the selfishness of the United States. International giving, the selfishness of this country only represented 75% of all international giving. Man, how do you live with yourself, America? Thank you for pointing out, Mr. Spooky Dude, how pathetic we really are. This is the argument, though, for scrapping the free market in favor of failed socialist or Marxist policies. Just take it from us instead of having us willingly from our heart give 75% of all of the world's giving. Oh, that's brilliant. Spooky Dude, maybe you can control that money. And frankly, as Spooky Dude himself tells us, it's time, I gotta say it like him, it's maybe time for a new world order.
Really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order. I think the makings of it are already there because the G20, in agreeing to peer reviews, effectively is moving in that direction.
So there we go. We just need a little push to finish and reconstitute our entire system. Let go of that pesky sovereignty thing. Give me your sovereignty, accept global currency and governance, and submit to Chinese supremacy. Everything would be fine, and I would have to maybe stop donating $1 million to MediaMatters, you know, because Glenn Beck in that New World Order would never have a job at Fox because, oh no, there would be no Fox. Oh. Come on, George. Save yourself the $1 million. Come on, I'll make a nice spooky dude chair. I'll even get you that chair that you had in The Empire Strikes Back. Remember? Or was it, what was the last one? Return of the Jedi? That was great. That cool chair. And you could say, see your friends out there. They're all ready to die. Just as I foretold. Something like that. I don't remember the exact line, but it was cool. It was cool. Man, you're a good actor. Tell America to their faces that America is over, that we've now everything that we've earned needs to be redistributed to poor countries so we can level the playing field for everyone. Make the case. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I am. I don't think so. And by your $1 million donation today, I don't think you think so either. Pick up the phone. You know what? You did spend $1 million. You can even call me collect. You might be strapped until payday or... No, I forgot. You're one of the richest, most powerful men in the world. No. Call me, but on your own dime. Back in a minute. I want to talk to you one-on-one here about something. I don't know if you're doing the 40-day and 40-night challenge, but I ask you to do that. I mentioned it earlier in this episode. With firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The Republic is at stake. It is a fundamental transformation. That's what's going on. If you like European socialism, which is now collapsing in communist violence, you know, God bless you. I don't understand that. What's happening here is not because of the Democrats. It's because of the shadow organizations that controlled many people, mainly the Democratic Party, but some in the Republican Party as well. And it is a pulling away from our values and our principles. And we all were, you know, you can't blame it on them. We didn't pay attention to our country. And we believed one thing, that Americans are all good, that nobody would ever want to intentionally destroy us. And they don't see it as destroying us. They really just see it as, again, I go back to that Fabian society, just reshaping the world in the pattern that they like. And I ask you to take this 40-day challenge and know what each word in this means. And you can find this all at glennbeck.com. But I've asked you here last week to do something else. And I had an idea. And Joe, if you'll remind me when we get off the air, I've been meaning to tell somebody this all day. Had an idea last night about founding fathers. But last week I talked to you about grandparents. George Soros is, I don't know, 900 years old. And he is, look at him. I mean, he is still fully there, fully active. There's no, I mean, he's not an old man. Age doesn't make really that much of a difference. Too many great Americans have retired. And now you're playing golf or whatever, and you've earned it. You have. And you probably planned your whole life to do whatever it is you're doing now. I beg you, please come back into service of your country, but in a different way. Our children don't know what America really is. They are being indoctrinated. And sometimes they just don't see the values of family. Please, help your children out by helping your grandchildren. Talk to your family, if you can. I know this is a scary idea. We do it in my house, and it is frightening. But man, you won't believe the difference in your children. Please consider homeschooling. Grandparents, I can't even imagine what it would have been like if I had been homeschooled by my grandmother, and she would have taught me. I love my grandparents. We don't create enough real memories with our grandparents anymore. Remember your grandparents. Remember the lessons you taught to them. Our children or our grandchildren are not going to make it in this new world that is coming. Things are going to change. It will be better in many ways when we get through it. But we got to go through an awful lot of pain. But we need people who know what the real values are, know the real history of the country. You don't need a certificate to teach your children. And rest assured, Media Matters, I'm not the one doing it, it's my wife. Yeah, you can't complain of that. You can't say, a woman? No, you can't do it. Huh? What are you going to complain there? Grandparents, step into service. Step into service. Your country needs you. Back in a minute. I want to take a moment to give a sincere thank you to George Soros and the folks of Media Matters. There is another way to look at all of this. In 2004, when we first got our first Media Matters alert, we were only on about 40 stations on radio. I wasn't even on TV yet. I don't even know if did I have a newsletter or anything else? A newsletter now, I think the subscriptions, it's free, but the subscriptions I think now, bigger than the subscriptions to the New York Times. But anyway, I didn't have that then. Fast forward to today. These guys will routinely do about 5 alerts on me a day, thousands and thousands of alerts over the past few years, approximately 50,000 mentions. So how's their internet attack blitz worked on ruining my business and my character? Well, I mean, you can look at it. I was on 40. Today we're on 425 radio stations. I have one of the top-rated shows in all of cable news. I sell millions of books a year. Probably sell for an author like me. Nobody else has done some of the stuff we've done. We tour all over the country. We have website, newsletter. 500,000 people showed up at 828. 828. I want to thank George Soros for making all this possible. But I also want you to know this. I could lose it all. It doesn't matter. Because I know who George Whitfield is. Do you? Truth on our tongues and peace in our hearts. From New York. Good night, America.